All right. In my effort to bring Eastern cooking to the West, using Western ingredients, I've decided to try to make Thai Radna, which is a noodle dish. It literally means like noodle over face. And what it is normally you have white, flat white noodles that you boil and then you fry up. And then you make this gravy sauce that goes over it. Now you can cook the radna with whatever kind of meat you want, whether it be beef, chicken, pork, shrimp, whatever you like. In this case, I'm going with shrimp, just not shrimp, with pork, just because it was the cheapest meat that I found there at Walmart. And I didn't get the real ingredients, which is the Thai flat noodles, because I got kicked out of the Asian supermarket the other day. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to make it with this. This is Great Value bow ties. It's the wrong kind of noodles, but we're gonna do it anyways and see how it turns out. And I'm not even quite sure how to make the sauce, but my plan is to use some of this chicken broth and some cornstarch to thicken it, as well as the soy sauce to give it the brown color. And that is the plan. So let's see how it turns out. First thing we're going to want to do is actually to cut up and cook up the meat. In this case, I have boneless country style ribs, which I'll be slicing into little pieces and then frying it up using our body complete. Once that's done, we're going to set that aside and begin working on our noodles. Actually, while that is cooking, I think I'll go ahead and cook the noodles because the noodles have to be cooked before we get any further. So we're going to do that. While I have the water heating up to cook the noodles here in a minute, I went ahead and took the meat out, and we're going to try to cut it up right now into slices for frying. As you can see, I've sliced up the pork, which is country style ribs, and the meat, not the meat, the water is starting to get ready to boil, so I'm getting ready to add the noodles. And while the noodles are boiling up, my plan is to go ahead and fry up the meat. To fry up the meat, I'm simply going to use a little bit of canola oil. You can use any kind of oil you like. My preference is actually olive oil, but because I don't have any handy, we're going to go ahead and use this canola oil. You can see I didn't use too much, just a little bit. Probably about a tablespoon or so. The idea is just to coat the bottom of this pan here. And then what we'll do is toss in the meat and the body, and that should start getting the meat going. Alright, I've tossed in the meat right here, which is actually a little bit more meat than I need, but I don't, I like meat, so I'm gonna go ahead and have lots of meat with our meal here. Oh, we have enough to make a whole bunch. To season the meat, I'm just gonna toss in some of this body complete. I just sprinkle it over the meat to give it some flavoring. And we're also going to be adding, just that little spot that I missed. We're also going to be adding our usual chopped onion. You see, I keep using the same ingredients over and over in different dishes because I like them. So the meat is frying up right now. What we're going to do is just fry up the meat. And that looks good right there. Smells good. What I want to do is thoroughly cook the meat, especially since it's pork. And while that's cooking, we're going to go ahead and take those bow ties, which normally we would use Thai rice noodles, flat rice noodles, and we're going to boil it because the water, you can see, is boiling now. This is my first time doing this, so how it's going to turn out. It's going to be a surprise to me as well as you. I have to do the whole thing. I think I'll go ahead and do the whole thing. And put the whole thing in there. Figured I might as well cook it all up since I have all that meat. Go ahead and stir it up and let it boil while we cook up the meat here. I don't know where the name Radna comes from, but it literally means like over face, noodle over face, or sauce over face. And what it is you make the noodles separately from the sauce, and then you pour the sauce directly on top of the noodles when you're finished. It's a common Thai food. It's a street food that you can buy from a lot of Thai vendors. And they're made, I guess, slightly differently by different people, but it's typically the same. It's some kind of noodles. It can be a flat noodle or a stringy noodle with usually, I think it's broccoli that you use as the green vegetable, and this brown gravy sauce, which I'm not even sure if I'm making the right one, but we're going to try it and see how it all turns out. You can see I'm doing a good job here browning the meat. Meanwhile, our noodles are boiling up, so I might want to stir that a little bit. Just gonna stir this up so it doesn't burn on the bottom, but we'll boil that. And then what we have to do is actually fry it a little bit after it boils. So we're still cooking the meat right here. Oops. That's a little bit of pork there. This kind of stuff could be cooked up in a wok, or in my case, a frying pan. Tell you what, the pork smells good. I'm going to go ahead and cover it up, and I don't need to, but I'm going to cover it up and turn the heat down to medium. So I've adjusted the heat because I need to let the noodles cook. So, stir this up a bit more. Usually when my mom makes this for me, she uses beef. But beef is so expensive nowadays. And even chicken, you know. Chicken used to be the cheap meat, but chicken is like really expensive nowadays. So, I think everything's expensive nowadays. But I was lucky that I was able to find this pork for like, what was it, $3.30 something. It's pork ribs. I think the pork's pretty much cooked at this point. See, it's got some browning on it, which I think makes it look and taste better. And you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and try to make the sauce right now while the noodles are still cooking. So to make the sauce, the plan, because I'm just making this up as I go along, we're just going to add some chicken broth and some soy sauce and some cornstarch to thicken it up a little bit. So let's go ahead and try that. So how much soy sauce how much chicken broth do I add? I don't know. We're just going to pour it in. And you know what? Now that I see it's cooling it down, we're going to go ahead and turn the heat back up to high. So I got the heat back there up to high. And we're just going to add this chicken broth in here, because we're going to use this to make a gravy. So I'm adding quite a bit, actually. I wonder if that's enough. I think that's enough right there, right? Looks like enough. So we got the chicken broth. And let that boil up a little bit. Maybe a little bit more, because I like the gravy. And whatever I don't make here, I don't know if we're going to be able to save to use or toss. Since I bought it, we might as well use it. But I don't want to add too much, because then the sauce won't be thick enough. So we're going to let that heat up a little bit. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and stir up our noodles here. Yeah, it's going to be my first time eating it with these kind of noodles, so it'll be interesting because the flavor will probably be different, because this is, I think, wheat and not rice. Alright, Alright, while the noodle is still continuing to cook here, stir it again here. Let's go ahead and try to prepare the sauce. So I've got this Walmart soy sauce, great value, because I didn't want to try the Dollar Tree one. Even though I could use that soy sauce, it didn't taste that good. So we're going to try this one, even though normally I use kikkoman, so, but I'm trying to keep costs down. Oh, you have to pop this thing open, evidently. See how they have the paper in there? Give me a second here. This is what I was talking about. They got this little safety thingy on here that we got to peel off. So let me peel this guy off, and then we'll see if we can't pour the soy sauce in there and get our sauce going. Alright, we went ahead and took the thing off. Let's add our soy sauce. Just gonna pour some in here to give it the nice brown color. I guess I wasn't pouring, it's more like squirting. Why am I squirting so much? Because I'm Asian. You can see how much I used. That was quite a bit of soy sauce, wasn't it? Hope I didn't go crazy with it. And what we're going to do now is try to thicken it up a little bit. You know, I forgot to add this stuff, the chopped onions. No, I added it. I think I added the chopped onions to the meat, so we're good. So let's go ahead and put up the badia and the other stuff. And now we're going to try to thicken this up a little bit by adding some of this cornstarch. I hope I didn't go too crazy on the soy sauce there, man. I might have added a little too much. So we've got our cornstarch, non-GMO. And we're just going to pour it in here to kind of thicken this up a little bit. It is boiling. Pour a little bit more. How much am I using? I don't know. Alright. And it looks like clumps. So, Denoy is like a really bad cook. It's like clumping up, man. I guess you're not supposed to do that, huh? Well, this is going to be a disaster. I think you're supposed to do this cold. And then, I think cornstarch is best added cold to water and mixed before you, instead of trying to pour it in like I just did just now. Because it's clumping up. And this dish is going to look, I think, a bit funny. But you know what? We've already started. Can't stop now, right? This is a disaster, I think. Yep, looking like a disaster because the cornstarch is clumping up instead of thickening the mix, because I think I added it hot instead of cold. And I'm making a mess. So this is going to be really weird. See, this is already not looking very good at all. Oh my. I don't know if I'm even going to air this episode because it is turning out so bad. But you know, as in life, once you start something, you gotta finish it, right? So I'm making a mess, and the food is looking really bad. Because normally I don't think you use cornstarch. You normally use flour. I decided to use cornstarch because I thought it would clump up better. But evidently, it's not clumping up better. It's making a mess. Well, we've gone this far. I've turned the heat off here. I think it's too late to turn around at this point. So, we're going to continue. We're going to continue with this crazy concoction. You know what? I'm not going to call this Radna. I'm going to call this disaster. Disaster overface, because this is definitely not Radna. This is Denoy's weird, messed up concoction. And we're going to go ahead and continue to mess it up some more before we serve it. Alright. So it is thickening up somewhat, but you can see chunks of cornstarch or whatever I use. What was that stuff? It's cornstarch, I think. Yeah, I used cornstarch instead of, as a thickening agent instead of flour. So we're going to get chunks of cornstarch in it. But it is kind of somewhat thick. Maybe I can screen it out, filter it out or something. And still have a decent looking meal to try to salvage what I botched up. But one of the things they have in there is indeed, what's this stuff called? Broccoli. So I didn't buy fresh broccoli. I decided to get some frozen broccoli from this mixed vegetable. So I'm going to toss that in there and let that kind of thaw out. So we're going to throw a couple of those in there and see how it looks. And I know this is not very appetizing at all. Alright, I managed to pull out as much of, let's turn the heat back on here, as much of the broccoli as I could from the mixed vegetables. So we're just going to mix it in here and stir that up so they'll melt. They're like frozen solid. Meanwhile, I overcooked the noodles. This is a really botched up job. We're going to go ahead and try to pour this out and fry that up and see if we can't fix this dish. Alrighty, so I've made a total disaster. This is like totally overcooked. This is starting to thicken up a little too much. So what I'm going to do is add some more chicken broth. Yeah, this is a really messed up dish here. And add the remaining chicken broth. Because it's supposed to be a thick sauce, but not like chunky thick. So we're going to add that and mix it up a little bit more. And see if we can't salvage this crazy dish that I think I need to look at recipes and figure out how to do this, because this is nothing like what my mom made. It's times like this that you really miss your mom, because I really botched this dish up terribly. At least it looks that way. We'll see how it tastes, okay? But I'm heating it back up again to get it hot. I'm going to try to fry the noodles up. Look at this. This is all cornstarch on here. It doesn't look too bad, actually. Just chunks of cornstarch. But that's edible, right? So we're going to let this sit. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. And meanwhile, we're going to try to fry this guy up and see if we can't fix this dish. I'm just going to add some oil here. I'm going to turn the heat up on this and just fry it. Or maybe I'll put it in another frying pan. I don't know. Let me figure out what I want to do to try to save this. This is looking really bad. Alright. We've got a major disaster here with the food. But I think I can salvage it. The sauce is not looking too bad, actually. And even though this is like super overcooked, I am still going to fry it. I'm going to fry it in a different pan. And we're just going to use some oil, fry up the noodles, and serve it. And see how it actually turned out. Because even though the cooking process looked really bad, I'm looking at it now and it actually looks pretty good. I've started to heat up some oil. And we're just going to go ahead and pop the noodles in there and fry them up and see how it turns out. You can see the noodles are frying up. Sticking a little bit. We need enough oil or something. And we're just frying it up. Have you ever had this before? I don't think most Thai people have had this either. Most of the time they use the real ingredients. So, noodles are fried. I think we're going to turn it off now. Off the heat. Still have some left over, so we're going to make several others. But this is my crazy dish. My wife is giving me this weird look. You want to try it? Do you want to try this dish? Oh, she's a brave soul. She's going to try it. It's supposed to be Radna Noodle over face, but Denoy well, it actually doesn't look too bad now. It actually looks pretty good. So Denoy is using American stuff, not using Thai stuff. Oh, she's going to hold the camera now. Thank goodness. She can film me getting this stuff. So this is how we're going to serve it, okay? So you just film that. I'm going to get you this dish. She's going to be the first person to try this. So very interesting. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and serve this. You want to come over here and film me here. Come on over here and film this. Let me drain the water off, and we're going to film this as I prepare to serve. You know it's crazy Radna, not real. This is made with American ingredients and botched up really bad. Okay, is that enough? Or you want more?
No, it's too much.
Too much. Alright. That enough? Or still too much?
Yes.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, so she's going to try this dish. I'm gonna let her try this. And what we're gonna do now, come on over and you can watch what I do. I'm gonna serve it by putting this. If you see the white chunk, that is the thing. You don't have to eat that, okay? This looks really bad, doesn't it? I messed up on the cornstarch. I didn't do a good job. And you put, do you want peppers on it?
No.
You put this pepper on it.
Okay.
Do you want some?
Okay, do it.
Okay, I'm going to put the pepper on there for you. You just take a couple and you put it on there to bring out the flavor. There you have it. How does that look? pretty bad, right?
Look delicious.
Oh, she thinks it looks delicious. Woohoo! Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to do the taste test. Can I try one? let me get this ready and I'll film it. Well, my wife didn't want to be on the camera, but she did her taste test and she says it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it very good? There you have it. A disaster. Still good, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the taste myself.
Very good.
Very good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Delicious. All right, let me try it. All right, so this is what the serving looks like, even though we kind of botched up the cooking, and we still have chunks of cornstarch floating around in here, which makes it not look so appetizing. I think next time what we're going to do is take the cornstarch and, blend it into the water first and make a paste, a liquidy paste before I boil it up, because that cornstarch, I think, ruined the whole meal. It made it not look so appetizing. But you can see I've added the sliced dill peppers. My wife says it tastes really good, so I'm going to try it out myself. These are the wrong kind of noodles. And of course, we're substituting all this because some of you may not have access to an Asian market. So I thought I would share a little bit of my culture and my food, Americanized. So let's go ahead and do a taste test on this and see what it actually tastes like. Oh my goodness. No, and I'm not faking it. My wife in the background. This is actually very good. So even though it's botched up, it's still a very good dish. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My botched up Radna meal.
This is
my plate. You can see she ate it all. So, yeah, I'm surprised. Botched up, doesn't look pretty, but it still tastes great. Next time we'll try to do a better job. Until next time, everybody, I hope you're eating well, staying safe, and had as much fun watching this episode as I had making it.